6 years of our lives are spent on very personal, algorithm-fueled social media. And with that, 71% of consumers say that they expect a personalized experience from brands. Yet more than half of brands aren't currently utilizing their first or zero-party data to create a personalized experience. Now, with the technology advancements, an evolving landscape, and social media, our lives have become inherently personalized. So Instagram and TikTok algorithms are catered to your wants and needs. Netflix predicts out of 100 whether or not the latest TV series matches your usual preferences. So the question isn't, should I be doing personalization or not? But more so, how far do you want to take it? My name's James, Digital Acceleration Lead at Haleon, a leading global healthcare consumer business.
And my name is Ellie, Senior Digital Marketing Manager at Haleon. And today we'll be taking you through our sliding scale of personalisation, how it benefits our brands, and why this may or may not be the right approach for your organisation. Personalisation is about being able to create relevant advertising designed to enhance the experience of the consumer. This seems straightforward, but in reality, it's often not the case. For example, hyper-personalisation in the healthcare space is tricky, and we don't want to come across as too creepy. Additionally, accessing and collecting data can be made complex, especially as our products are sold via third parties, such as Tesco's, Boots, Amazon, etc. But consumers still expect it. Therefore, how do we overcome the expectation of personalisation without all of the tools needed to create it?
Now, when we think of personalization, it could be both a push and a pull exercise. So for push, it's more about changing your messages to suit the behaviors, the interests, or the current situation of the consumer. And we can do this simply by running a dynamic content optimization campaign. But for Haleon, and for most of what we'll be talking about today, it's more about those pull campaigns. So how are we delivering digital experiences that reward the consumers actively leading into our business? So they might have already seen an ad, or they've come through search, or in our case, maybe from referral from a healthcare professional. But the thing with personalization is that without relevance, it's irrelevant. It needs to add some value to the consumer. One of the ways in which we're providing value to our consumers is trying to make the purchase funnel more simple. So if you go online, try and get information for a health condition, I'm sure we've all done it, it's a really complicated space. For example, if you go into a high street pharmacy chain and type in vitamins, you'll be served with over 1,000 different results for vitamins. And that's not their problem, they've got a great range, but it's a super complicated place to play in. So one of the ways in which we try and add value is to make sure that we're making that just a little bit more simple for the consumer.
The hook that has led to our expansion into the world of personalisation is how we're collecting and utilising zero-party data. This is where a consumer actively gives us their data and information in exchange for something that they deem valuable. And it's this data that allows us to add richness to our push campaigns by using these insights directly from our consumers rather than relying on our third parties. The challenge advertisers have within this space is creating a value exchange that delights consumers. Is it useful? Is it engaging? Is it exciting enough to warrant a consumer giving their data for it? And for us, how do we get the balance right between creating a value exchange that a consumer will value whilst receiving enough usable data in return?
So some of the experiences that we've built at Haleon include personalized product recommendation. We've got some information on different health conditions, but we don't just focus on the consumer, we also focus on healthcare professionals. So we have the Haleon Health Partner, which also focuses on free CPD accredited training, and you can also order samples to your practice as well. But the first one that we'll go into detail in today is for Voltarol, which is a leading pain relief gel. Now, one of the challenges that we have with pain is that it's so individual. How on earth do you make it personalized for every consumer? So one of the ways in which we found that we can try and address this is to try and capture those consumers, bring them in, and simply just ask them about their pain.
Hence, the Movement Coach was born, designed to be an ally for all pain sufferers. It's an interactive experience that sits on the Voltarol website, which provides a personalised pain management plan based on your pain type, needs, and preferences. So all you do is answer a series of questions about your pain, and the experience will generate up to 10 exercise and stretches, which are then demonstrated in short videos alongside articles and product recommendations. You can also sign up to receive emails with reminders to go back and complete your exercises. And behind us, you should be able to see a video of the user journey of the tool behind us, and there's a QR code in the top right-hand corner if you're interested in giving the tool a go.
So we've had great engagement since we launched this back in June this year. We've had over 18,000 completions of the tool so far. One of the great ways in which we find that we're delivering on our promise here is because we feel that by doing this, we're offering relevant personalisation to the consumer. So of those 18,000 people that have completed a tool, around 2/3 of those are giving us their personal information, and a further 70% are opting into our email marketing campaigns. And they consist of monthly newsletters around health, exercise, pain, but we also link them back to the original movement coach to make it full funnel. Now, this begs the question as to why, at least internally, we feel this has been quite a success for us, and it is because we think that we're offering that relevant personalization. Often when we're designing experiences, we do it to have the highest completion rate, so we often reduce the amount of questions that we ask to get that completion rate. However, what we've found with this is we've been able to ask 7 questions without really seeing a drop-off at all in the completion rate or the performance. And we feel this is because the end user can see the value that we're going to provide them at the end of the experience, and they're willing to go through those 7 questions to get the end result. Now, one of the ways in which we can make this full funnel is to take some of the insights that we gain through the movement coach and then move it back into our push marketing. So how are we changing our claims, our creative, to make it full funnel and really understand how we can add more value to the consumer.
So this is just the beginning of the personalisation journey for Voltra and the movement coach. However, this example shows that there's no denying when you put a consumer at the forefront of your decisions, you will get the richness of data in return. Now, shifting gears a little bit, not only do we drive personalisation through the consumer experience journey, but also the expert recommended journey. Healthcare professionals, or HCPs, are hugely important for us here at Haleon, with 87% of condition sufferers who receive a HCP branded recommendation saying they'll go on to purchase that related product. However, with over 200,000 healthcare professionals here in the UK, it would take us 20 years to digital every practice just once. Therefore, Haleon Health Partner was created as a solution to reaching as many of these experts as possible whilst continuing to drive that expert recommendation.
So since the launch in 2018, the original goal of the Haleon Health Partner was to simply just drive mass reach amongst dental professionals. We weren't really thinking about the personalisation journey at that point. But since then, we've really understood how personalising some of the content can add more value to the healthcare professionals and help us change what we offer and the resources that we can develop in order to get more of an exchange with the healthcare professionals. Now, if we think back to 2018, the original iteration of this, a dental professional would sign up, create an account, and it was very transactional, and they would order samples to their practice. But that was the end of the interaction.
Whereas now, if you fast forward to today, we have content separated out by our 4 categories, which in case you don't know, are oral health, respiratory health, pain relief and wellness, with related condition and product information, learning resources and samples available under each. Now, what we've done is we're currently exploring how we can improve the user experience for these different audiences. So the idea is that we're going to personalise that logged in state dependent on the type of HCP a user is. So for example, a dental professional will get recommended dental resources, whilst a pharmacist will get recommended pharmacy resources, rather than having to self-navigate the site as they currently have to. So as you can see, a lot has happened over the past 6 years, and we're constantly reviewing content to ensure we're continuing to create resources which add value. More recently, we held a dental webinar on how HCPs can support patients with dementia. This ended up having double the registrations and attendees versus similar webinars held since 2021. Therefore, we're exploring how we can cover similar topics, which have limited information available online, but becoming increasingly relevant for our HCPs.
So one of the things that you'll hear time and time again from us today is that personalization isn't just a one-off exercise and then tick, job done. It's something that will constantly evolve, and you need to make sure that your solutions are changing with that as well. Now, what we've spoken about today is mainly on those pull activities and how we've centered our strategy around the collection of zero-party data and first-party data. However, we can really start to use those insights that we've gained from those campaigns and then transfer them into our push marketing. So for example, with this experience here, this is the Voltoro movement coach that we've just spoken about. Now what we want to do is collect as much usable insight within that so that we can go to our segmentation, and then we can start to break it down into different cohorts or different segments based on the data we've collected. So for example, in this one, you can see here, this is a graph that we get just on the different pain types that people have reported into the movement coach. So we can really understand in our creative what type of pain points should we be showing in there. I have taken out the different pain types, just in case anyone from Nurofen or someone else in the audience. And then what we take is then these segments, we can then move that into our social media advertising, our YouTube advertising, so we can start to tailor those adverts based on your pain type, your severity, how you got that injury, overlaid with demographic data. So the personalization along the funnel continues. Now, another example of this is how you can use it for really high-level strategy as well. So for Centrum, in our product selector tool, we started to break down and understand the different needs of people looking for multivitamins based on their age and their behavior around energy, food, and lifestyle. So, for example, this is super high level, but men under 30, unfortunately, in our tool, they completely over-index in not eating enough fruit and vegetables daily. And then they also report that they want to use a multivitamin in order to fulfill that nutritional gap. Whereas on the flip side, those of you over 55 are more likely to have a balanced diet, but you're actually more likely to want to use a multivitamin for immunity support. So maybe winter's coming, you want to make sure that you're as healthy as possible. But you can see that instantly we can start to break these down, have a hypothesis, work on these, and try and figure out where we can play in the future. In the past for Voltoro, we tried to do this with huge, large-scale DCO campaigns, where we might have 30 or 40 different pain types, 30 or 40 different injuries, 30 or 40 different types of sports that people play in. But the problem that we had with this is we just had to infer performance and conversion based on click-through rates, which isn't the best measure of performance unless you've got some other data within that to try and give you confidence that actually people suffer with back pain, neck pain, and then everything else is quite small.
Now what we've shown you today isn't anywhere near as you can take personalisation, but it does show how you can create different strategies, even from a small initial value exchange, whilst making sure you're being purposeful in how you use the data. So what you can see, what this requires is understanding those consumer needs, but also from our perspective, understanding how much data we want to capture and how complex that can end up making your experience. So this requires understanding behaviors, preferences, and needs through data-driven insights. But there's a fine line between delighting consumers and crossing their boundaries. Pushing hyper-personalization too far can lead to a whole host of issues. And consumers might feel uncomfortable with how much a brand knows about them, leading to concerns about brand safety and trust. Therefore, to overcome this, we must prioritize transparency in data collection, seek informed consent, and empower consumers with control over their data. Effective personalization not only makes sure that we're being trusted as a company, but strengthens our relationships and ensures we're safeguarding against any potential future legal and ethical dilemmas.
Now I would be lying if I said all of this had gone completely smoothly since we kind of started this journey in 2018. So here we've got just 5 elements to talk through that. I kind of wish someone had told me back in 2018 to stop us making some of the mistakes that we've made along the way. The first one is to have a roadmap in place. What you go live with, your MVP on day one, will not be what you want it to be in a year's time. We might have been guilty potentially of setting and forgetting some of our experiences only to go back a year later to realize how much data and insight we actually had from those. So make sure you've got a plan and stick to that plan over the long term. A second one is make sure you're friends with your privacy team. I'm a brand marketer. I know GDPR, but I don't know GDPR. They know all of the ins and outs. They will help you along the way. I would say that Haleon is quite conservative in our data collection, so we try and collect the minimum amount of data that we can in order to hit both our internal goals and also to be able to deliver value to the consumer. But then that links to the next bit, which is understand what you really need to know, both from a data privacy point of view, but also to make sure that you're not putting everything into the experience and you've got an experience that's 30 questions long. Potentially for some brands, some marketers, that might be fine. If you're Zoe or Whoop and you're trying to assess someone's health lifestyle, fine, you might need something longer, but I think most people will want something shorter to keep that completion rate as high as possible. The fourth one is stress test value exchanges. What you go live with might not actually be what consumers care about, and that's fine. Have a hypothesis, test some stuff and see what works. Some of ours haven't worked on day one, we've iterated it and we've got it into a place where we feel really confident that consumers are getting something from this. And then finally, understand that change will happen. GDPR will evolve. Consumers' expectations in this space will evolve. So we need to make sure that our solutions are evolving with that as well.
So this is how we at Haleon have utilised our data to personalise our content for consumers. Thank you for listening. Any questions?